r/AskReddit. What's way more dangerous than most people think? Anything under tension can be dangerous. Guitar strings hold around 200 pounds of tension. A game of tug-of-war can put thousands of pounds of tension into a rope. It's even been known to kill people. True story, as a 14-year-old I played a game of tug-of-war with a large number of people and the rope snapped and whipped back and hit me, leaving me with 3 fractures in my hands. 3 surgeries and lots of PT later, I'm happy to report no nerve damage, but I'm never playing that game again. Hiking in Arizona heat. Grand Canyon too. You can go down a lot quicker than up. Always, I repeat always bring too much water when hiking. Newts. Many newts, such as the rough-skinned newt, produce a toxin that is 10 times more potent than cyanide. They are only dangerous if you handle them and then don't wash your hands afterwards, or if you eat the newt. There have been multiple reports over the years of someone eating a newt as part of a hazing ritual for a college fraternity and then dying. The toxin that some newts produce can kill you inside of 15 minutes because the toxins block the sodium receptors in your nerves, essentially stopping your brain from communicating with your heart. Scary stuff. If you handle a newt, wash your hands. And never put a newt in your mouth or you will die. The toxin is tetrodotoxin, also found in pufferfish/fugu and blue-ringed octopuses. Some species of garter snake which prey on the newts are resistant to the toxin. Tetrodotoxin doesn't cause cardiac arrest because the heart has its own pacemaker system independent of the brain. The main mechanism of death is paralysis of the diaphragm leading to asphyxiation. Blocking your nose when you sneeze. Though it's rare, you can damage blood vessels in your eyes and nose, you can rupture your eardrum, and you can even have an aneurysm. Okay, I'll stop doing that. Dad sneeze equals heelty sneeze. A kind of random one, but don't eat uncooked slugs or snails. They can have parasites that will make you paralyzed and eventually kill you. An Australian kid died a couple of years ago from it, an awful way to go. I think I'm safe from this one. Not necessarily. If you don't wash lettuce well enough, for example, you could end up unknowingly ingesting part of a snail or slug. You had to write that, didn't you? Looks like lettuce is off the menu. Towing a stuck car with a chain. There is a list of people who have died from having the chain come through the back window and kill them. If there's one thing I'll always stress, it's a real tow rope. Endless uses, not that expensive, you'll probably only ever need to buy one, they won't smash your skull in if they break. And put some weight in the middle, a simple jacket will do. That way, in case the rope does snap, shit can still happen, the small weight gives just enough momentum to send the energy down, so it will hit the ground or your legs. Your legs will still shatter, but way better than your ribcage or your face. Bites from other human beings are actually really dangerous due to infection rates. A friend bit me once. I turn into her every full moon. Being knocked unconscious. Lots of popular media makes it seem like a minor thing that an average person can shrug off after a short period. In reality, if you are ever knocked out, then you have suffered brain damage. It's possible there might not be any lasting effects, but it's a serious injury and you 100% need to see a doctor if it ever happens to you. Just being knocked in the head in general. People are so cavalier in fights. I think that movies have people being hit with the butt of a gun, a shovel and being okay. I'm not a doctor or nurse, but I'm pretty sure simple bumps and knocks can have potential damage. The human being is fragile as duck. Cat bites. I was drunk as a skunk sitting on a friend's porch one night when a stray cat walked by. My intoxicated brain thought that he was adorable. I saw him again the next morning. He was a scraggly grey beast of a feline, so I started meowing at him. He came over and hopped right into my lap, and I pet him and played with him for a good while. Until the little fluffy bastard decided to bite me twice and scratch me 3 times, and fled into the night. I knew to go to the ER, and they gave me rabies and tetanus booster shots, as well as a heavy course of antibiotics for 2 weeks. Moral of the story, I'd probably pet the kitty again. Electricity. People seem to have little understanding or respect for it. If you touch an AM radio tower you will die, and there is nothing that can save you. Also, it will be the most painful thing you ever experience, past, present, or future. Don't be a dum-dum. I was an aviation electrician in the Navy and my supervisor told me a story of a girl he worked with who got shocked, but didn't get medically checked. Her heart stopped in her sleep later that night. Doing nothing for a long period of time. It gets addictive, and it's the hardest thing ever to get back on your feet. Can confirm. Currently sat outside my work on first day back, and damn, it was hard to get up at 6 this morning after doing nothing throughout lockdown. People know that rip currents are dangerous, but don't think about them as a real threat often enough. I'm from Florida. My whole entire life I was taught to swim parallel to shore when stuck in a rip current. They teach it in schools. There are commercials about it. The signs say it. You'd think it would be ingrained. But what does my grown ass do the first time I got sucked into a rip current? Panicked my ass off and almost drowned. I got stuck in one as a kid and I never knew about the parallel swimming. I was alone while it took me. But somehow I instinctively knew I had to swim that way to get out. I ended up around 1 mile where I was. Scary as duck. Eating a lot of spinach. Believe it or not, people have had kidney failure from 3 spinach smoothies in a day. This is due to the high levels of oxalic acid. Ugh, now all night long I'll be wondering if I'm spinach poisoned. Poppy's gonna die soon. Is that the same thing that's in part of the rhubarb plant? Yes. It's actually quite high in a lot of foods, but most notably in spinach. Driving tired, sleepy. This is a good one. I almost got plowed to death by an SUV once because a lady fell asleep while driving with her 2 small children, took out a sign, and came at me on the sidewalk. I had to action dodge behind a tree. She and the kids were all okay, just really shaken up, and I called them an ambulance and hung out until paramedics came to check on everyone. I was pretty shaken up about it myself. Really? You don't expect that. Especially in the middle of the day. Don't drive tired, kids. Man, I've done a full shift driving hundreds of miles getting in and out the car for hours and filling in the reports. The worst one was I had like 2 hours sleep the previous night, and at the end of my shift I thought I saw a UFO. I was absolutely convinced. Turns out it was the moon. Palm trees. They are so much heavier than they look, and their branches can kinda just fall off without warning. Aussie here. Beware a eucalypt on a hot day in the middle of a drought. Eucalypts shed branches when stressed. Usually it's small clusters, but sometimes you'll jump 6 feet to hear a massive crash outside and see a huge methodica on the lawn. The amount of times we've almost had one land on our car. Attempting to change garage door springs without knowing what you're doing can kill you. This is crazy, I had no idea. Me being cheap would probably try to do it on my own. Thanks for saving my life. Garage springs are under intense tension and can seriously duck you up if you don't know what you're doing. Always get a pro for garage repair. Mosquitoes. My friend slipped in the bathroom whilst trying to catch a mosquito and hit his head hard on corner of the sink. Spent 2 weeks in a coma after that. I bet the mosquito must felt like a champion. I wold though most people would know the dangers of mosquitoes as they are the biggest killers of humans in history. There's a theory that the earliest humans to leave Africa did so to try to escape the mosquitoes. Sounds plausible to me. A lot of household chemicals. Mix the wrong stuff and it's game over or seriously hurt. Ammonia and bleach is a common one, I think. I used far too much ammonia last time I was cleaning, and I thought I was going to pass out. Ammonia is not great to inhale. Save it for deep cleaning like the stovetop, and then leave the house for a few hours. Otherwise you're better off using all-purpose cleaners or white vinegar. Barbecuing indoors. Are you meaning with like charcoal and stuff? If so, who does that? I should also mention, and to expand to running a generator indoors. Few years ago in Germany a tragedy happened when a girl celebrated her 18th birthday along with her friends and her brother inside an allotment. Her father ran a generator for electricity inside the hut in a room next to them. The makeshift exhaust to the window eventually collapsed. The next morning he drove by to pick them up. They were all cold dead. Deep cuts on your fingertips. They are called felons and can infect your bloodstream. Clean them out, and if you see a red line traveling up your arm, get yourself to the ER immediately. My neighbor almost died from this when she cut her finger on her violin string. My old roommate got a cut on his finger from a broken glass in a sanitation sink bartender and was complaining that it was sore and swollen. I had heard about the "if you see a line going up your arm, you need to get to a hospital" thing and asked to see his arm. Sure enough, he had a red line almost to his elbow. He got to the ER and caught it in time. Driving. Like you see the statistics of car crash deaths, but I don't think you ever truly realize how dangerous it is to simply drive somewhere, since it is such a routine thing. Life on the road would be safer if 5-year mandatory retests were a thing, and not just for seniors. I don't know where you are, but the quality of the tests in California are a joke. My 85-year-old grandmother, who answered completely incorrectly on the vision test and is now suffering from dementia, was given her license. Moose. Bigger threat to people up here than bears. Moose were so underrated as a threat for so long that they've become a bit overrated. I've had Reddit arguments with people suggesting they are on par with grizzlies. I've been close enough to both animals in the wild to smell them. Grizzlies are a shit ton scarier than a moose. Moose are just a lot more common and people don't take them seriously as a threat, both of which increase the chances of a bad encounter. Living alone. If you get seriously injured or ill at home and you're unable to reach a phone, your chances of survival are much lower than if you have at least one other person in the household. Had an older employee who lived with her son. She didn't turn up for work. Very common to no-show/no call at our workplace, just not for her. I had a weird feeling after she wasn't picking up when I called. Waited a few hours and decided to go knock on her door. No answer, but her car was there. I phoned the non-emergency police line and they showed up and broke in. She was found in her bedroom on the floor completely out of it, and turns out she had a very bad case of meningitis. She was admitted to the hospital for a month, and they told her if she had been found by her son by the time he returned home from work, 4 hours after we found her, she most likely would have been dead. Trust your weird gut feelings. Hiking in the woods with earpieces in, even in a suburban area. It seems innocent enough, but not being fully aware of your environment can lead you to not notice snakes or coyotes. Or other hikers. There's a trail I like to run and it's fairly narrow and flanked by poison oak, so people have to kind of stand aside to let others pass, since you can't comfortably get around someone who's actively walking. Anyway, the amount of people I've come up on who don't hear me because they are listening to music is kind of crazy to me. Wild animals. Most people know that they are dangerous, but they don't think about how dangerous they are. An example of this would be something small like a rat. They carry diseases and can destroy stuff if not taken care of. Rabies is the worst way to go. I was shocked when I found out that rabies has a 100% death rate when left untreated. It has a 100% death rate regardless of treatment when symptoms appear. There are 2 documented cases of survival. They were put in a coma. They had reduced brain function after recovery. Crossing train tracks when a train is coming. People do it every day, so clearly don't realize how dangerous it is. Until they are hit by the train and are killed. This is one of those things you wouldn't expect on this list, but if people realized how dangerous it actually was, people wouldn't tempt their fate each day to save a few minutes. Coconuts. Coconuts kill 300 times more people a year than sharks, since only 16 attacks occur per year, and 1 death every 2 years, while coconuts kill 150 a year, from falling from trees. Imagine if of all the ways to die you die from a coconut falling from a tree. That's honestly sad.